Welcome to the Stack of Stats podcast. Pam Maldonado here, joined by my girl Kelly in Vegas, and we are here to bring you our 5 against the spread contest picks for week 9 of the NFL. Kelly, we didn't do well last week. We went 1-4. We almost had the Jets. We talked ourselves out of it. We instead put in the Lions.
The Lions,
that clearly didn't work out very well. Your best bet hit. Your best bet is the only one that kept us alive to 1-0. The Bears, they were covering all the way.
Can we not relive that? They were so for 3 quarters. They were just doing everything right. And look, our good friend Ariel Epstein told me when she was here a few weeks ago visiting, she goes, everything looks great in the NFL to the fourth quarter, and then all hell breaks loose. And she's not wrong.
It absolutely is.
Yeah. It happens every single week, sometimes in our favor, sometimes against us. But you're right. My best bets have been crushing. And so I'm just kind of like treading water, like waiting for there to be like 3 in a row I don't hit. But it's been a fun run. Hopefully we can keep that going, because if I just bet my best bet every week in the NFL and just put a pretty penny on it and stop wasting my time trying to have 3 or 4 bets a week, life would be a lot better.
I was literally going to say that, because last week, if you remember back on the podcast, I said your best bet was also my best bet, but I was like, because it was yours, I looked for another one. I ended up doing the Jags. What the fuck was that?
There are some just really bad teams, right? And so I'm in a big money survivor league. There's only 16 of us left. It's awesome because it's $1,000 buy-in, and the Bengals, thank you to the Jets, was everybody's play last week. Luckily, I had already used the Bengals against the Jags and almost lost.
Temptation.
Yeah, so I didn't even have that temptation, and it was a really easy cash for me on Monday night with the Chiefs. I almost died as well, but that being said, the Chiefs did escape. But it is funny because now I'm looking at betting against the Lions every week. I'm looking at betting against the Jags every week. And you can only do that so much because that's what everybody else is going to do. And there are just some really bottom level teams here in the NFL that every once in a while kind of surprise us, whether that be the Lions or the Jags or the Texans. But man, putting your hard-earned money on these teams is rough.
You know what, though? Despite going 1-4 last week, we're still 22-13 on the season. We're doing really well. Our problem right now is just anyone who's listening, if Kelly says this is her best bet and I said that's also my best bet, that should be your one bet. Like you said, you bet less, you bet your most high conviction plays. More often than not, you're going to be winning, and yeah, whatever. Okay, let's move on to this week. Enough. Release that negativity. We're moving on to this week. What we are doing each week is we are doing a pick 5 against the spread. Kelly's giving me her best bet. I'm giving her my best bet. And together we're coming up with our total on the season of our 5. I don't know why I blinked out there. Your best bet for this week is Panthers plus 3.5 at home to the New England Patriots. Under 41 was my best bet for the week for Yahoo. So I was kind of leaning your way because I was like, oh, field goal game. Both teams top 10 in opponent points per play, top 11 in opponent touchdowns allowed. Running back Chuba Hubbard and Damian Harris are both for both squads. I think they're going to have a big game for each. So are you thinking this is going to be a field goal game?
You know, I do think it is going to be a field goal game. One team is going to win by 3, and I'm not sure which one it is, but I did sprinkle a little bit on that Carolina money line. The reason is, look, last week I pushed really hard for the Pats. We didn't end up using them, but my thought process was, look, Bill Belichick is an underdog with Mac Jones on the road versus kind of an overvalued Chargers squad. Mm-hmm. Now on the flip side, we're asking New England to be a road favorite. Why? Well, because Carolina dropped 4 straight, but they did finally stop the bleeding last week against a crappy Atlanta squad, right?
Right.
Like you said, Chuba Hubbard, it's coming up. Look, I've heard that Christian McCaffrey is going to be off IR. Does that mean he's going to play or not? No. The good news is Sam Darnold is gone. Now, why do I say that's good news? Because you have PJ Walker. What do we know about PJ Walker? That's PJ. Right. He was Matt Rule's quarterback at Temple. So they already have a rapport. I do think he's going to fit well into this offense. And I would much rather have him than an injured Sam Darnold any day. That being said, again, Bill Belichick, great as a road underdog. He's not that great as a road favorite after a win, especially not as a favorite. I think that Carolina gets this win here. You did mention that it could be a field goal game. Sure. Could New England win this one by a last second field goal, great. In the contest, we still have the hook. I bet Carolina +4. And if you notice, that line didn't move with the Sam Darnold news. And that's because there's no drop off here. So don't overreact to the fact that they lost their starting quarterback. I do think Carolina gets the win here at home.
I agree with everything you've said. McCaffrey, for that reason alone, could be why this game is not up on the board right now.
And it hasn't been, right? We've seen it back and forth all week. I bet this game on Tuesday, as I traditionally do with my best bet. I want to lock that in early. Very rare is it that the market goes against me on my best bets. And so far, I am happy with the 4. I do think if we get Christian McCaffrey back, it is going to be an upgrade because it will give PJ Walker just that extra time if they know they can get the running game going. But you mentioned Chuba, and I think that he is going to be an integral part of how this run offense is going to be able to diversify this team. Carolina has just been atrocious for basically the last 5 weeks. I said they got a win because they played the Falcons.
So McCaffrey plays. What does this line go to?
I think we see a drop below 3. I know that there are some sharp groups.
Better, would you take that?
I think that poses a really great spot to tease Carolina. If it goes to 2.5, I have some open teasers from earlier in the week. I did play the Niners +2.5 and a couple open teasers, knowing that line was going to be gone rather quickly. I think that would be what I would do. I hate advising knowing there was a better number out there. But yes, if McCaffrey goes, I think we see 2.5. Now, I will say this. Monday, I do get a sharp line report from some great guys that say, hey, this is what the sharp guys played early. They played the Pats -2.5 early. Now, did they play it to get ahead of the market, knowing that they were getting less than a field goal with Bill Belichick on the road versus a Panther squad, potentially with no Sam Darnold? I think so. I think it was just more that than it was an actual sharp play.
Exactly. I agree with all of it. I love it. Panthers, I'm totally writing that. My best bet. Now, maybe I'm not as sharp as you. So feel free to say, like, Pam, this sucks. This is dumb. We're not taking this off. Broncos +10 at the Cowboys. The Dallas 7-0 against the spread. I've been betting Dallas every single week. I've been an advocate for them every single week, which is rare. I don't bet favorites. I always love the Cowboys. However, 10 points is absolutely screaming for a backdoor cover. You have Cowboys running backs Ezekiel Elliott, Tony Pollard, 6th in rushing yards. Denver is top 10 against the run, top 10 against the pass. The Broncos are second best in red zone defense, behind only the Pittsburgh Steelers, tied with the Saints, having allowed just 14 total touchdowns in 8 games. The Dallas is absolutely still vulnerable in that secondary. They're absolutely stout against the run. The Broncos don't run. You have Teddy Two Gloves, who is 39-17-1 against the spread as a starter. And Bridgewater is throwing for 73% completion last week. That was his 5th game with 70+ completion percentage this season, tied most in the NFL. You give me a passing team grabbing 10 points, backdoor situation at worst. I don't even think it's going to need a backdoor. I think this is not saying that they're a live dog, but I definitely think that Broncos here can keep this within 10 points, even a 7-point game. Maybe they're getting a little bit of disrespect because Cowboys look phenomenal coming off that win without Dak Prescott. Broncos had a couple of losses back to back. What do you think?
Well, as a newfound Cowboys fan in yourself, Pam, my question is to you. Did the Cowboys win that game or did the Vikings lose that game?
Vikings lost that game.
And that's exactly how I see it as well. Look, we had a great number. I had a great number with the Vikings. The contest had a great number with the Vikings. I had the Vikings in a teaser. Thank God I was able to save some face. I actually thought Coach Zimmer was going to get fired after that. That was how crappy of a performance the Vikings had. Now, and we also spoke that, once this line ticked up so many points that you'd be getting some value on Dallas. I did have Dallas in another open teaser when it hit 2.5. I was floored when I saw handicappers giving out Vikings -4.5, saying it wasn't enough points. I'm like, what are you guys talking about? We know that Cooper Rush is a 7-point drop-off. We're now there. Now you can't say that there's still value betting the Vikings, but still the Vikings looked absolutely atrocious. I am actually floored. I remember you text me that the Broncos was going to be your best bet this week, and I sent you back the 2 emojis.
The eye emojis.
Because I was like, whoa, look at Pam here. And it's because you nailed it. Everything you said, you nailed it. This line should be 7.5. I'm going to tell you why it's not 7.5, Pam, because the whole world will tease the Cowboys down to just basically to win it. And the bookmakers got ahead of themselves. Why? Because the Cowboys have been crushing the spread. They crushed them last week. All the Vikings backers. Look, you nailed Teddy Bridgewater. He's been excellent, especially as an underdog. He is 10-0 against the spread versus teams above 500. And that's why we have to take the Broncos this week. This was a reason. The reason why it wasn't my best bet, if you want me to be honest with you, is because I grew up a Broncos fan. And anytime the Broncos is my best bet, I get chirped at on the internet. I love the Broncos in this spot. But it's not necessarily that I love the Broncos in the spot. It's that the Cowboys are entirely too hyped up here. Look, they're just crushing the NFC East. And in props to them, I think they have a 3.5 game lead. I'm still going to stand by what I said last week. Mike McCarthy, I'm sorry. I think he is just living in the clouds right now. I don't think he's that great of a coach. And I think that we do see some defensive prowess here. Now, as you know, the Broncos just traded away Von Miller. Everybody's telling me when I turn on the TV, that means the Broncos hung it up. They don't care. I think this is going to be a really close game. I would not be surprised to see this being a field goal game. I know that sounds crazy. And when Dallas beats the bricks off this team, you guys can tweet me and tell me how much of a fangirl I am. But yes, Pam, I do love this one. This was basically Carolina was 1A. This was my 1B. So I think this week we're in lockstep.
That's awesome because Broncos was my 1A and Panthers was my 1B. So if there was any two bets that I was going to make, your best bet, my best bet, and that's it. I'm calling it done. Those are the two. That's what I'm betting for NFL Sunday.
Can we just go to a pick 5? Can we just do a pick, a pick 2 league where we just have 2 best bets all season long?
Week.
I think we would be in first place, like a survivor against the spread, if you will. Just one. I think it would be really awesome. But yeah, that's where I'm at. I'm happy to see that you and I are in agreement with a lot of things this week.
All right, so let's move on to some of the other options. I have a lot of games up that we can talk about. One of the games that I said that I liked, and I never, ever, ever, ever take favorites. Like, this is just not me. I like dogs just like you. Much less do I take big favorites. However, Bills minus 15 at the Jaguars. I believe this is just a huge, huge skill discrepancy. The Jaguars are 28th in opponent passing yards, 31st in opponent yards per pass attempt against Josh Allen and the Bills, a team that has outscored opponents 44-3 in the first quarter alone this season. Just how different are these two teams? The Bills have scored on a league-leading 52% of their possessions. The Jags have scored on a league-low 24% of their possessions. And the Bills have already shut out the Dolphins and the Texans. Tell me that the Jaguars is not right up the alley with those two teams. Could very well much be the same case here. Josh Allen is going to have a field day, and I have no idea how the Jags are going to put up points.
Yeah, I don't hate this. We've spoken about it several times, how well double-digit favorites have done in the NFL. I believe they're still hitting at a high 60% clip. And the only reason why I don't love this play, Pam, is because last week the Bills got a late cover to do it again. I think that this is going to be a pretty public side. That always makes me apprehensive. I know that, yes, we've seen that the public does win in the NFL. We've seen weeks where the bookmakers get crushed. But the only way I can look here is lay it or don't play it with the Bills.
Okay, then let's move on to another option. Titans plus 7.5. That's another one that I liked at the Rams. I know that we don't have King Henry, and absolutely it's going to be, I'm under team underreact. And I think King Henry, if there's any team that relied so heavily on one single player, it's absolutely the Titans. However, the game plan from with King Henry to not having Henry here does not change. You do not run on the Rams. You have to pass against the Rams, and they're a really good play action team. Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill, when using play action, just over 10.2 yards per pass attempt. And they actually did have one game with Tannehill behind center, but they didn't have Henry, though that was back in 2019. Tannehill went 9 of 11 for 174 yards, nearly 16 yards per pass attempt, plus 2 scores. And the Rams' last four quarterbacks that they have faced, you had Houston's David Mills, Lions' Jared Goff, Giants' Daniel Jones, and Seattle's Geno Smith. Tannehill is a huge, huge step up to all of those. I think this is a pass game. They're going to be fine. Titans are going to get theirs, and the Rams, they're not really impressing entirely too much against these weaker quarterbacks. What do you think?
Yeah, it's funny, Pam. I'm with you, and I'm looking right now on the odds screen. This line just moved to 7. I have the Rams in a teaser, and that makes me like skin crawl. I played the Rams in the teaser going, you know what? The bookmakers are going to do this. They're going to protect themselves. They're going to move this game to 9.5, and it sat at 7.5 all week long. This one's dicey, and I think you absolutely nailed it. Everybody's going to overreact to no Derrick Henry. Well, my fantasy team is done for the year because I have no Derrick Henry. This Titans team is not just going to just hang it up and quit. I'm with you. The fact that we're getting 7 in the hook here in the contest speaks volumes.
Can I actually throw out a whoa? I'm gonna call it a whoa. I really like the Titans on the money line as well, plus 280.
Ooh.
And it's rare for me to have confidence in something like that, but I could definitely see a situation where this is like Titans 31, 30, 34, 30, 34, 31.
Oh, one of those very last second type games. Hey, look, I don't hate it. I think you're absolutely right here.
Okay, let's leave that as an option. Another one that I know that you texted me on and I agree with as well is Browns plus 2.5 at the Bengals. You have Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow, who against the Browns still has to face defensive end in Myles Garrett. He has 10.5 sacks on the season, the most in the NFL. And if there's any one single thing that I look at in football, whether it's college or NFL, it quarterback pressure and a quarterback protection. And Burrow has 49% completion under pressure. And against other top 10 teams in the pass rush, they won against Minnesota by just 3 points. They lost to Chicago by 3, and they lost to the Jets more recently, as we all remember, by 3 last week. And against Pittsburgh, that was another top 2 pass rush in all of the NFL. They actually won that game 24-10. Look at the details. Linebacker TJ Watt was not in that game. He was out from injury. And TJ Watt is second in the league for most sacks. So now you're getting, this is Myles Garrett versus Joe Burrow. Give me the Browns.
Yeah, I'm on the Browns with you too. I did put them in a teaser and I did play them plus 2.5, Pam. This is a really scary one to me because we know that Baker's not 100%.
Right.
But what we do know is that this is a divisional underdog. And the last time the Browns were an underdog at the Bengals, I was in 5th grade. Okay, maybe not. But like Carson Palmer was definitely.
Oh my God, Carson Palmer. Wow.
You know what I mean? Like I'm looking at this going, okay, how far are the Browns going to fall? How many points are we really willing to lay here with the Bengals? I know everybody thought, okay, last night we saw with the Colts. I didn't play the Colts. I said my lean was the Colts. I played them in, I had 2 legs in my survivor pool left. I played them in 1 because I said there's no way. And I was kicking myself late. Yes, the back door was open for the Jets, so maybe could have went either way. But look, that Bengals team absolutely fell flat on their face in a sandwich spot here. They were looking ahead to this game. And guess what? The Browns have had this game circled after losing to Pittsburgh. I'm with you here. I think the 2.5 is a gift from the bookmakers.
Is a gift. Oh my God. So just for that reason alone, you like it. I like it. I love it in a teaser. 2.5 scares me because you don't have that field goal protection. So we are basically calling for the Browns to win outright.
I believe they will.
Okay, so then how about we just make that as our absolute third? So we'll have your best bet, mine, and then put in the Browns. Okay, so then another game that you sent me along was the Saints minus 6.5 at home to the Falcons. This one definitely does worry me a little bit. You have opposing offenses have converted 43.8%, 7 of 16 of their red zone possessions against New Orleans. That is the lowest rate in the league. And that is the only reason why I do like the Saints. Other than that, I really couldn't find much other reason because the quarterback situation, I know we don't have Winston and he looked really good last week. Can you replicate that 2 weeks in a row? We already saw yesterday with the Jets, Mike White, he was already starting to look a little fumbly. All that new quarterback love wears off.
No, and it definitely does. And look, I've fallen in love a little bit less with this play throughout the week. I will say that I do think that they're the right side here, but I think I'm okay with tabling because I know you and I have a couple of other ones that we like as well. Trevor Siemian, by all means, did what he needed to do, and Sean Payton kept him in his little box. My play was more against the Saints here and their defense because that's what they were able to do last week. Now, granted, that is a big win, and that does concern me. I know normally on Wednesdays we text each other our list, so some things have changed. I didn't end up getting to the well with the Saints, so I'm okay with pushing them off to the side because I know you and I, the next one you're going to bring up, you and I both in big agreement here.
What is that next one?
The Packers.
Oh crap! You're right. I didn't even put that in my notes. I totally forgot about the Packers. Under react situation here. Yes, I do like the Packers in this situation because you can still run. I know having no Aaron Rodgers is such a big deal. No quarterback to any team is going to absolutely be monumental. However, you still have AJ Dillon. We didn't have Devontae Adams last week and worked out, but this week you have AJ Dillon, you have Aaron Jones. Run all day.
Yeah, look, this is funny. I know the whole joke's been that they called Blake Bortles and he was on the golf course. And is it going to be Blake Bortles? Is it going to be Jordan Love? It's going to be Jordan Love. And I think this is his time to shine. The good news is when did we see Aaron Rodgers go in for Brett Favre? That's right. He played behind him for several years and then he got his moment to shine. And I think this is Jordan Love's moment to shine. I think Aaron, while albeit not going to be on the sidelines to help him out, I think he has been a good mentor to Jordan, and I do think he can run this offense. And this is just a big-time overreaction. Is Aaron Rodgers a 6-point drop-off to Jordan Love? Yes, we know that he is. But also, we know that people tend to overreact. The whole world's going to be on the Chiefs here. And guess what? If Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur just watched the game plan last week from the Giants, they can keep this within a field goal as well. And that's all you have to do. You're going to have to exploit that secondary. Look, Patrick Mahomes still not well. You want to lay 7.5 with this offensive line, with Tyreek dropping passes, with Patrick turning the ball over a couple of times a game, then so be it. But I'm going to take the overreaction here and take the over the touchdown with the rookie. Well, technically not a rookie quarterback.
It is 7.5, which just makes it all that more enticing. Just to give some nuggets, the Chiefs are allowing a league high 459 yards from scrimmage per game. The Chiefs have forced just 2.4 sacks plus turnovers per game, ahead of only the Falcons and the Jags. That is some not good company to be around. And yes, Aaron Rodgers, as mentioned, he is a huge vital key of this offense. But you are still, Aaron Jones is tied with Jonathan Taylor for the most red zone opportunities, 38 in the league. So Aaron Jones, get downfield, dink and dunk. We've seen it. We've seen quarterbacks do that this season. They're smart enough to not do these big time passing plays and possibly throw interceptions, do little short yard passes to your running backs, get downfield, hand it off to the guy who knows how to score best in the red zone, Aaron Jones, get it done, keep it within a score. Chiefs defense is so bad. And if anybody is out there saying that Aaron Rodgers is so important that I'm going to lay 7.5 with the Chiefs, stop betting right now.
Enjoy. And look, I think that's something that we saw last week. As I mentioned, by all means, the Vikings probably should have won that game. The +2.5 was the right side. I would make that bet again. Listen, if you have the Chiefs in a pick'em from early in the week, congrats to you. Even if you have Chiefs -2.5 because you bet it before that Giants game, even better. But if you're waiting until this line ticks up over a touchdown, just like you did with the Vikings last week when they became 4.5-point favorites, you're going to lose more often than not. Listen, this is the most, this is the tightest betting market in the world. The NFL numbers, we know this. It's so hard to beat. And if you're waiting until the last minute or you're betting after the bookmakers already have the information, you're too late to the party.
Absolutely. So you want to lock this in as our number 4?
Yes, please.
Yes, please. That is how much confidence we have. Was there any other game that you loved that we have not talked about?
I wouldn't say loved. I do think that there are some interesting ones. I know you and I are opposite. I have Philadelphia in a teaser. I'm not saying I want to back Philadelphia. I already hate that. But my only other one that I played was San Fran in a teaser. I like San Fran +2.5. What number is it in the contest?
Let me go ahead and check that. I also did play San Francisco in a teaser. Where is it? Chiefs. It's +1 in the contest.
Yeah, I like it still. I do think the Niners are going to win this game. We know Kyler Murray is probably not a go here. Is he a significant upgrade to Colt McCoy? No, Colt's been a journeyman. I think he can run this offense. That being said, I really think San Fran is not getting enough respect here. What we saw from them in the fourth quarter, whether you want to blame it on the Bears or you want to say, hey, Jimmy G really turned a corner with this offense, I think the argument can be made either way. That being said, as I mentioned, I already played it in the teaser. I do like that side. I know that if and when it comes back, let's see if it's back on the board. I think there's a couple of places that may have it up. Let me look at the odds screen.
They reopened at -2.
-2, yeah. I think that at +1, I do like the Niners to win this game.
Which is also why I took them on a teaser, is because the 49ers lead the league in red zone scoring percentage for touchdowns at 78.9%. You have running back Elijah Mitchell, who has gained 10 or more yards on 18% of his carries. That is the highest rate among running backs this season. It accounts for 60% of his total rushing yards. also the highest rate in the season. So this is going to be an offense that is threatening to the Arizona defense. And the Cardinals are 20th in rushing yards allowed. They are 31st in opponent yards per carry. Mitchell, I believe, is poised to have a big game for anybody who plays fantasy or player props. I love Mitchell here in this spot. And also, if you look at that first game, you're going to see like, oh, the Cardinals, they won 17-10. This could definitely be a repeat. A few things with that. The Cardinals, that was back in week 5. And no, it's not similar. Why? Because quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, he didn't play in that game. First off, the Cardinals, they struggled against rookie quarterback in Trey Lance. And yet, even with a rookie quarterback in his first start on the road, San Francisco still outgained Arizona 338 yards to 304. I'm not one to say like revenge game, but this is a divisional revenge game.
But I mean, it is in theory, right? And
Right.
how do you quantify revenge? You really can't. So I understand why people say that. That being said, I'm with you, Pam. I think the Niners is the right side here. And we're getting +1. I think we just basically need them to win the game.
At 49ers +1. All right. So then do you love 49ers then above other things like Titans or Bills, or was there anything else?
If we were getting 2.5, absolutely. We know games don't land 1. They do 4 or 5% of the time. They do land 1. So it's kind of a non-issue to me. If it was 2.5, we'd be saying we wish we had 3. So I think the Niners, again, I don't love this week's card. Personally, I only played the Browns in a teaser. I played the Niners in a teaser. I played the Eagles in a teaser, the Rams in a teaser. I probably will get to the window by Sunday night with the Titans. Now I'm kicking myself because it was 7.5. Now it's 7. And I got to have to search after we get done here to see if I can still find a 7.5. But there's a couple of 7.5s rogue here in Las Vegas. So I got to get on my apps and see what I can find. But yeah, I think those are our 5. I don't think we overthink it. I think last week, you're right. We really overthought that Jets versus Lions. And I think this week we're seeing the board very similarly. And I think we just go with it.
If you're kind of sticking to the trend of underreact because everyone's overreacting, then do we not want to do the 49ers because that's kind of opposite of what we're just talking about, overreacting, and now the line's moving to 2. Well, we've already done that once where we had the best line with the Vikings and that didn't work out, and instead put in the Titans because largely everyone is overreacting.
So right now we've got Carolina, we've got the Broncos, we've got the Packers,
and the Browns.
I think we go Titans. Sorry, I thought Titans was already in there. That's how much of this Friday afternoon I'm like seeing clearly. I think we go Titans over 49ers. I'm absolutely with you. That 7.5 to me is more valuable now that the market's at 7.
Perfect. That makes sense. Then those are our 5 against the spread contest picks. We're taking Panthers +3.5 at home to the Patriots as Kelly's best bet. We're taking the Broncos +10 at the Dallas Cowboys. That is my best bet. And our 3 other games, Titans +7.5 at the Rams. We are taking the Browns +2.5 at the Bengals and the Packers +7.5 at the Chiefs. This is a card of underreact. On team underreact.
I love it. You know, the good news is that it might help us in the standings as well, because I do think a lot of other people will be on the other sides of these games.
That would be awesome. So then do make sure to check out Kelly in Vegas on Twitter at KellyInVegas. You can follow me on Twitter at Pamela M35. And that does it for another episode of Stack of Stats.